Hi, I'm Betsy Cornwell, and I'm running The First Time I Felt Free, a booklet and retreat series that I've put together with the domestic abuse services at Cope Galway. I'm really delighted to be able to offer this asynchronous version of the First Time I Felt Free writing prompt that I put together for our in-person and online live retreats. For anyone who wasn't able to join there, I would be so thrilled to have you do this exercise with me and consider submitting what you write for the booklet that we're going to be putting together later this summer and into the autumn for publication with Cope. My hope for this booklet is to just share stories by my fellow domestic abuse survivors of a moment after leaving an abusive relationship where you experienced freedom or joy or peace or gentleness, that in a way that sort of brought clarity for what your life was like compared to what it was when you were in the relationship. I think for a lot of people, before you leave a harmful relationship, the idea of leaving can be really bleak and scary. It can be really hard to imagine a positive life afterwards. And I know for me, one of the first times that I went to a survivors group meeting at Cope Galway, it's the place years ago where I first got the idea for this booklet and retreat series. Because I heard another woman in the group talk about moving into her new home with her kids and being able to hang up her family photos on the wall for the first time because her ex-partner had never let her hang up her own photos on the wall when they were together. And that was just such a stark image for me of such a little thing that really isn't little at all, that really demonstrates how much freedom you didn't have in the relationship and how much freedom you have now. And so my hope for this booklet is that it can be helpful for other survivors who've already left the relationship, but maybe even more so for people who are still in an abusive relationship, to help them imagine life afterwards and that it can be better. So I also teach creative writing at the University of Galway with the Irish Writers Centre, and online through the Old Knitting Factory, as well as in partnership with various organizations like Cope Galway. I'm calling in from the Old Knitting Factory right now, which is a historic building in Connemara where I live with my son and offer free retreats to my fellow single parents. I wrote a book about the project called Ring of Salt, which you can see behind me right there. So let's get into it with the writing exercise. So I'm gonna hopefully share my screen here with you. I'm recording on Zoom so that it will hopefully work. um, okay. Okay, so this exercise that I've put together for the writing prompt for the booklet is adapted from one of my favorite books, which is What It Is by Linda Barry. It's a book that I assign every year in my class at the University of Galway, and it's a sort of combined memoir and creative exercise workbook. Linda Perry is completely brilliant. She has lots of wonderful free writing exercises and lectures and things of her own on the internet that you can find. She's one of my personal heroes. So this is adapted from an excellent exercise in What It Is called Other People's Mothers, and I highly recommend that you find this book and read it and do those exercises. So this is a sort of multi-step exercise, and I always say, do the parts that work for you, leave what doesn't. No one, especially in a setting like this, I think it's important that you don't sort of push yourself to do anything that feels triggering. The whole intention of the First Time I Felt Free project is that it's hopefully a positive experience both to read and to contribute to. So if any of this feels wrong at any time, please feel free to walk away or to adapt the exercise or the prompt in the way that best works for you. I've put this together hoping to end up with a sort of consistent set of submissions for the booklet so that when we put the booklet together, it feels coherent and understandable to a casual reader. The first step of this exercise is just to make a list numbered 1 through 10, and then fill out that list with small moments from your life after leaving an abusive relationship when you felt a sense of freedom. So I know the title of this booklet is The First Time I Felt Free, but it doesn't have to be the very first time, if there even is such a thing. Survivorship is hard to define. It's certainly not linear, but small moments from your life when you felt a sense of freedom, or you can replace the word freedom with peace or joy or relief or quietude, whatever works for you. And the list is not part of the actual submission that you're going to put together. We're first doing a few steps to sort of generate ideas for what you're going to write about. And so that's what we're doing here. So this list does not need to make sense to anyone else's eyes but yours. If you just write down, like I said, family photos, if I know that that refers to this particular moment I'm thinking of, that's enough. Nobody else has to understand what you're talking about. But basically, try to make that whole list and then fill it out, numbered 1 through 10, because even if you came to the exercise with a particular memory in mind, it can be really helpful to try to generate some other ideas, some other memories, because you might end up really excited about one that you wouldn't have bothered to think of if you just went with the first one on your list. So take a few minutes, as long as it takes, to try to fill out all 10 moments, and then and you can pause the video while you're doing that, and then unpause it when you're ready to move on to the next step. So once you've filled out your list, numbered 1 through 10, choose one memory from your list that feels particularly clear or that you would like particularly to explore further. The other nine mean you'll be able to do this exercise 9 other times if you'd like to. And I would also encourage you, again, particularly in this context with the retreat that we're doing here, to choose a memory that feels good to look back on, that rather than triggering. That will be a hopefully a pleasurable experience for you to revisit, because the next part of the exercise you could kind of call a guided meditation. It's just sort of placing ourselves back in the moment of this memory, looking around inside of it, and sort of excavating, digging out details from this memory. So it should be a memory that is enjoyable for you to do that. So when you're ready and when you've chosen your memory that you'd like to write about, you can actually put down your pen or pencil and just sit comfortably for the next part of the exercise. And then I ask people to close their eyes if they feel comfortable doing that, and just relax. And the first thing that we're going to do is just settle into our bodies at the moment of this memory. So it could be a memory from this morning, or it could be a memory from 50 years ago, but to think about, what did your body feel like on that day in that particular moment? Maybe it was a child's body, maybe it was a younger body than you have now. Maybe you had different health concerns than you have now, different aches and pains. Maybe you can remember what your clothes felt like, what your shoes felt like, your hair. Um, just take a minute to settle into your body as it was in that exact moment. And after we've done that, we're going to kind of look around in this memory and just notice, are there other people there with us, or animals, or plants? Are there buildings or cars nearby? Are we inside or outside? Do you know what year it is? What time of year? What time of day? Can you notice what the weather's like or the temperature of the air? Just notice what you remember from this moment without having to try too hard. And now what we're going to do is look around inside this memory, as I mentioned earlier, and we're going to try to engage all five senses to think about what we can notice with each of our five senses as we go around, sort of look around our body in this memory. So first, we're going to focus just on what's going on in front of you. So look in front of you, and we'll think first about what we can see. So what are the colors and shapes that you can see in front of you? Maybe there's a most common color or shape that you can see. Notice what's closest to you in front of you and what's farthest away. What's the biggest thing you can see and the smallest thing in front of you? And then we're going to think about what we can hear coming from in front of our bodies, a loudest and a softest sound. What can you reach out and touch in front of you? Is there a hardest and a softest thing? hottest and the coldest thing, roughest and smoothest. What can you smell coming from in front of you? Is there a strongest and a faintest smell? And what can you taste? Maybe a strongest and faintest taste. You could be eating something in front of you or drinking something. It could be a taste from something you ate or drank earlier, or smoke, a taste in the air, maybe. Now we're going to focus on the right-hand side of our bodies in this memory. And we'll start again with what we can see. So, what can you see on your right-hand side? What are the colors and shapes? The biggest and smallest thing? What's closest and farthest away? What can you hear coming from your right? Is there a loudest and a softest sound? And what can you reach out and touch? A roughest and smoothest, hottest and coldest thing? What can you smell on your right? A strongest and a faintest smell? And what can you taste? Well, think now about what's going on behind our bodies. So we'll actually start with touch for this one. So, what can you feel against your back? Are you against a chair or a wall, or is there open space behind you? Does it feel open or closed? Are there people behind you? What does the wall or the chair or the clothes on your back feel like? What can you hear behind you? A loudest and a faintest sound? What can you smell? What can you taste? And if you were to look behind you, what would you see? We'll go now to our left-hand side. So we'll start with what we can see again. What can you see on your left? What's the biggest and smallest thing you can see? What's closest and what's farthest away? What are the colors and shapes? What can you hear coming from your left? A loudest and a softest sound? What can you reach out and touch? The softest and hardest thing? What can you smell? And what can you taste? And now we're nearly done. We're going to look up and think about what's going on above our bodies in this memory. So, can you see the sky or the roof or the ceiling above you? How far away is it? What are the colors and textures? What do any light fixtures look like? What's the quality of the light? Is it warm or cool? Is it soft or harsh? What's the closest thing you can see above you and what's farthest away? What can you hear coming from above you? Maybe an upstairs neighbor or an airplane or a bird. What can you reach up and touch? What can you smell? A strongest and a faintest smell above you. And what can you taste? And finally, we're going to think about what's going on underneath our bodies. So if you look down, what can you see underneath you? Can you see your feet? Can you see the shoes you may or may not be wearing? Um, can you see the ground or the floor or the water or the Ferris wheel footrest or whatever it might be underneath you? What are the colors and shapes that you can see under you? What's closest and what's farthest away? What's biggest and smallest? What can you hear coming from underneath you? An engine, a downstairs neighbor. What can you reach down and touch? Or how do your feet feel on the ground or on whatever they're touching, if they are touching anything? How does your body feel in its relationship to gravity and whatever is holding it down in this moment? Are you lying down, sitting, standing? Are you comfortable? What does it feel like? Does the ground under you feel hard or soft, warm or cool, dry or wet? What can you smell underneath you? A strongest and a faintest smell. And what can you taste? So just spend another moment inside this memory, looking around in whatever direction you please, noticing things that maybe you hadn't bothered to notice in a long time that you noticed while we were excavating together. Just enjoy being in this moment for another moment or two. And then whenever you're ready, you can gently open your eyes and bring yourself back to the present moment. So, when you're ready, the next step of the exercise is to just do some note taking about the details that you noticed. So, I like to divide my paper into six sections for each of the four directions around my body and above and below me. So, I have a section labeled in front of, to the right, behind me, to the left, above and below. And then I try to get at least three details that I noticed while I was doing that exercise, and write them down. And again, this part is just for you, so they can be little bullet points. They don't need to be beautifully written or anything like that. But these are just to help you keep track of the details that you noticed while we were doing that together. And I try to get at least three details into each of those six sections. And I also try to make sure that I hit all five senses at least once. So, like, for instance, I probably won't have something different to mention for taste in each of the six sections, but I might mention taste once in one of them. I make sure I mention smell at least once in one of them. So take a few minutes to make six sections on a page and fill them out with some details. You can pause the video until you're ready to go on to the next step. So once you have your notes, then we can move on to the actual writing part of the exercise, which is simply to tell the story of this memory in the first person. So using I rather than like Betsy did this, it's I did this, and the present tense. So it's I am sitting in my best friend's car rather than I was sitting in my best friend's car when this happened. So you want the reader to be in the moment with you. You're telling the story as if it's happening as you're writing it. And again, I get this from the Other People's Mothers exercise from Linda Berry. I think it fits very well to this kind of goal. But I would recommend that you start with the words I am. And again, that's helpful for the booklet because it'll help make a sort of consistent set of stories to share with the reader. But also, I think it's really helpful for the writing process to be given your first couple words. And it also makes sure that you're writing in the first person and present tense. So I am at the movie theater, I am at the beach, I am digging in the garden, whatever it might be. Start with the words I am and just tell the story of this moment. And then I would also recommend that you keep it simple, stay in the moment. Don't sort of move into this like commentary voice from the future explaining why this moment was important to you or what was to come after or what came before. Try to stay in the moment and just tell the story of the memory as simply as you can and employ those sensory details, those details from the five senses. So, in What It Is, Linda Berry recommends just 7 minutes for this writing exercise. And she even suggests that you set one timer for 4 minutes and another for seven so that you can notice when you have just 3 minutes left. And she also recommends that you try not to stop moving your pen or pencil the whole time you write, even if that means you have to draw a spiral until you can think of the next word or write the alphabet or write, I don't know what to write, I don't know what to write until the next word comes to you. That is infinitely better than stopping and criticizing your own thoughts and what you're trying to write. You try that she says writing is a physical activity in a certain state of mind. So we keep the physical activity happening, the pen or pencil moving by power of our hand across the page. And that will be generative too. So try to keep writing the whole time. I usually give people 10 or 15 minutes for this, just to give you time to fill out the memory. You'll find 7 minutes isn't very long at all. But however much time you have, you can again pause the video and just write the story of the memory until you're ready to move on. So, I have a couple other slides here, which I actually am not going to work on with you today because I want to keep it to just this exercise. But this is sort of about story structure. It's something I include in a lot of my longer workshops, which you can find at the Old Knitting Factory. And I offer them periodically with groups like Cope Galway. I just did a series recently with a domestic violence group in Maine called Finding Our Voices, which is a wonderful group. So please come see me again if you enjoyed this exercise. Again, you can find me at oldknittingfactory.com or betsycornwell.com, and I hope you will keep an eye out for the First Time I Felt Free booklet when it is hopefully out in a few months, and that you stay in touch with us at Cope Galway and support the wonderful work that they do there. And so, if you would like to contribute, if you would like to submit what you've written for this exercise to the First Time I Felt Free, the booklet, you can do so up until August 15th, and there is a submission form available through Cope Galway as well. And just for the purposes of the booklet, you don't need to be a professional writer in any way, shape, or form. We're not even looking necessarily for the best written stories. We're just looking for relatable moments of freedom, of hope that will connect with other survivors. So I hope you don't discount yourself from submitting your work for the booklet for any reason. And I look forward to reading what you've written. So thank you so much for being here and watch out for the booklet.